On a more positive note, how about the fantasy MVP? And the nominees are Christian McCaffrey.
Wow, I'm not on this list?
Mr. RB1, Tyreek Hill, Mr. Wide Receiver 1, CeeDee Lamb, Wide Receiver 2, Josh Allen, QB1, Jalen Hurts, QB2.
Yeah, all these guys were awesome. I mean, you could make an argument for should Raheem Mostert or Puka Nacua or Kyrie Williams, people that not only produce but cost you so little. Yeah. But, these are the guys that just, Tyreek, my guy Aites, Lamb and Hurts, in a year that was down for a lot of quarterbacks, those guys were the top 2 taken in most drafts, and they produced that way. And, of course, Christian McCaffrey is just Christian McCaffrey. Once again, just ever since he got to San Francisco, he's been the best player in fantasy, period.
Yep. The only thing with McCaffrey is that week 17 didn't really have his best game. So in terms of the playoffs, perhaps not. And he was good the couple of weeks before that. But I think still he would be the choice just because he was the number 1 player in fantasy.
Yeah, I think my guess is it has to be. And by the way, just you talk sort of about value. People were able to get McCaffrey in the middle of the first round because they were going with Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I saw some leagues where Cooper Kupp went ahead of him as well. So people were sort of scared off by the injury history that had happened previously. So there was a little bit of value to McCaffrey. If you didn't draft him number 1 overall, you made profit on Christian McCaffrey. Let's see where the fans vote.
As we take a look at the fans' vote here, which is led by Christian McCaffrey, 73% of the votes. Jalen Hurts with an all-time
under 1%. What
fan
are we doing?
votes
Come on.
low. I agree with the fans. I like that CeeDee Lamb was the runner-up, by the way. I think CeeDee Lamb has a good case when you consider where he was drafted.
I call him Aites, but yeah.
Well, you're his friend.
Yeah, we're buddies.
All right, let's get the official winner.
There we go. Here's the Peacocky. There we go.
Fire it up.
The Peacocky for the fantasy MVP.
I like that, there's like string holding his
It's back together.
Yeah, here you go.
Fantasy MVP goes to Christian McCaffrey, of course.
Deserving winner.
CMC, a very deserving winner.
No controversy.
The committee got it right.
Yes, well done.
Committee's on fire. Well done.
Yeah, look, he's the only running back with multiple games of 40 or more fantasy points as well. There were 3 games this season where he didn't have over 100 yards from scrimmage. Just 3. Every other game, he had at least 100 yards from scrimmage. Most scrimmage touchdowns in the NFL. He was tied for the lead there. Actually had a career high in rushing yards this year for CMC. Concerns in the preseason about, would Elijah Mitchell take some of the work away? And Elijah Mitchell got hurt a lot. But the concerns about the injury and also the splits between what he was without Mitchell on the field versus what he was, I think, again, depressed his draft day price. He ended up going in the middle of the first round. But number 1 running back in fantasy, number 1 player in fantasy, my way too early top 50. He's the obvious number 1 overall for 2024.
Yep, very deserving. And when people talk about running backs not mattering in football, Christian McCaffrey is the prime example of why they do. And what he gives you in the receiving game, both in real life and fantasy, is what separates him and makes him one of the great running backs of the past 20 years.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.